There's Victor there. There's Mo. That's our.
All right, man. Let's roll. Let's do
Mo
this.
joined us today. He rides with the Woodlands Racing Club, and he showed up. That was cool to have him on the ride. We want to welcome Frank, James Franklin, and Suresh Shinapa from the land down under, our newest patrons.
What else are you going to do on a Saturday?
I want to thank those two guys for helping the channel. It allows us to do what we do here. We really appreciate your generosity. We're going to be rolling an additional reward to our high-level patrons. It's already in place. It's coming out. Gradually over the next several months, there will be additional perks rolled out to you guys. So we really appreciate you and want to show you that. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode up Gosling, Flint Ridge, Cochrane's Crossing into the woodlands where you see Doug. That's where we met Team RR, to Research Forest, Old Egypt Road, to Fish Creek Thoroughfare, into Hornier. Then we took Raven Chapel and Mill Route Road, lots of action in there. On 2854, we went down to the Taco Corner store. After that, headed out 149 to Bailey Grove Road. The group separated from us for a bit, and then we hooked up back on Johnson Road into Dacus and went down 1486 to Jackson Road. On Jackson Road there, lots of action, good paceline work. And once we got into Montgomery past Karen, we let the group go and we held our own pace and took a different route back on the outskirts of Woodlands back towards Northampton. Lots of action. Paul had the camera going when I thought it was off. So we got clips of our dog that chased us this winter, and he chased us again. I egged him on and he didn't disappoint. So I think you will have a lot of fun on this ride with us.
That's how not to water grass. That's right.
Yeah, we waste a lot of water. The watering, look at the water in the concrete. It's too much. It's been running too long.
All over town and wasting water.
And we're expecting rain all week, so there's no reason to water. When rain is coming,
Yeah, it's thirsty.
I shut down my sprinklers. The guy made a joke about the concrete being thirsty. That's what we're laughing about. We hit Research Forest Boulevard here. This will take us out to what Paul calls the open road. I stay on the road most of the time here because the shoulder ends at every intersection because the curb juts out. The road's cleaner. We got 2 lanes. You know, there's too many of us. I just stay on the road. It's just better. It's cleaner. And you will see in a little while, Mike has a flat. He runs over something. He's got brand new tires. We couldn't find out what caused it. There were no cuts or anything on the tire. It's one of those things. Those little, you know, you hit a little rock or something, just put the right pressure and you can have what we call a pinch flat, especially if you don't unload the rear tire. So we think that's what it was. And right there's a squirrel lives in the woodlands. Watch him. He barely made it.
That squirrel just made it.
Went on the Paul Evans wheel there on the left. Paul's on the right. So I told this guy, don't run over
You can't be running over citizens of the woodlands. That squirrel resides here. Did you see the squirrel right? Just barely missed his wheel.
You have cats of 9 lives, so squirrels must have 18.
That's Michael. I believe Michael is from Austria.
No, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Michael's wearing orange. Michael had come early in the ride to tell me about it. He liked orange, and I'm wearing orange. You know, that's the cool thing about orange. It's anywhere from red to yellow. The spectrum is wide. He's got a different shade of orange, but it's very visible. Matches his jersey nicely. So he's picking out the color from his jersey.
Get the house. The house has a 6-shooter. What do you get?
Good for him.
Says,
How many bullets you got?
6 rounds, 9 lives. You do the math.
That's funny.
The We share a joke that Michael was telling me about a cartoon he likes where the mouse has a 6-shooter and he points it at the cat and the cat says 6 rounds, 9 lives, you do the math. And that's what he was telling me. It was kind of fun.
Maybe rained out.
He was talking about the weather we're supposed to be having.
Not too good.
We were talking about Sunday. Rain's supposed to come in 7 in the morning, but it didn't. We ended up riding on Sunday. I rode. Mo showed up again. In a little while here, we hear a tire blow. You know, Mike's rear tire. That's another reason why I stay on the clean part of this road. You never know what's out there. I don't see anything on the shoulder, really. It looks pretty clean. It's hard to say. You just, sometimes you just you hit something the wrong way and you get a pinch. We stop and you will see just how many cyclists are out here just not parking on people, heading out.
Yeah, let's go down there.
So just to pause, let's come down here because Robert Tengler had mentioned last week that
Hey Mo, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, I had just had a chance to say good morning to Mo in the parking lot. I was on the other side. I didn't notice him until right there.
Was it the leopard? I didn't really. I think guys are all checking out the girl, and I was looking at the bike. What did I miss?
Okay, guys, this is what not to do on a group ride. Don't have a flat.
4 minutes in.
Don't do what Mike did.
Well,
He planned it.
I don't.
He needed to rest before the warm up. Okay.
Mess with Mike. Turns out he's got like brand new tires. There were no cuts.
Yeah.
One of those.
All gone. Yeah, definitely check.
So he starts looking. I decided to walk over to help him look while he's.
When the noise is that loud.
That's Paul H down there. I had said he was 71. Turns out he's 73.
Find anything?
I was like, I don't know if I should mention that. So, I take the wheel from him and just kind of run through to make sure. You got to be careful when you do that. If there's sharp stuff in there, you can cut yourself. So you got to really watch. So I'm looking in as I run my fingers. I don't see anything. Tires pretty much right off the shelf.
Ran over something sharp.
Yeah, maybe a pinch cut.
There's nothing and there's no cuts.
Come on, buddy.
It's practically.
There's nothing in there.
You always got to check. Make sure you have nothing stuck in the wheel.
Yes,
In the tire.
just one of those things that happens.
Yeah.
Tube back in there.
You have a flat.
So we fix that. We head out. Somebody was holding Mike's bike for him. That's gonna enjoy being in a group. I never turn my bike upside down. That's sacrilege. I would lay it down in the grass before I ever drive it. I don't put my bike on the saddle or the hoods. I don't like my saddle getting scuffed up and stuff like that. So if it's just by yourself, just lay the bike down, let the pedal touch the ground. Lay the bike down the side of the road. You turn it upside down. It's harder to get the wheel in upside down anyway, because everything's the other way around. It's fun. Not necessary. We stopped here because we're not sure if we're going straight or not. And there was another guy who was up the road, I think. So we decided to turn here. They're doing new construction here. This is Old Egypt Road. And they finally shaved the old pavement off the left. They're going to widen it. And so they do this temporary asphalt, which they don't really invest any time in smoothing. But it's still better than what we had. But there were a lot of ruts and bumps and poor patched areas. So there's nothing coming. I stay on this smooth pavement. And there's a car. I see the car, so I move over. It's a little almost like chip seal. Just laid down kind of rough hastily because there's no reason for them to invest in it. They're going to rip it up anyway. So I remain standing.
After seeing us last week.
Yeah.
I was telling Paul, I said Mo felt like he was missing out. 'Cause last week when we were on the way back
Yeah,
in,
he was.
he came
I
up
greeted
behind
him as
Paul
soon
and
as I got there, and
cooling
you
down.
bypassed and went to
After
the other
the
group.
ride.
But he
It's
was
good to have him out here. It turns out Mo has a race next week, Sunday, so he's tapering. So today he was just going to sit in with us, a few hard efforts, but mostly just keep it under control, you know, just out to keep his legs moving. So like I said, everybody has a plan when it comes to a group ride. Everybody, there's a gentleman on the site, one of our legends, who posted that his wife likes to go fast. You know who you are. He likes watching the group ride. And I told him, let her go fast. And we do the same thing here, so I'll mention it when it happens. Let people do what they like to do. Let everybody do as long as it's safe. So everybody can look forward to coming back.
The what?
And then you continue to grow your group. Don't restrict people.
No.
Don't overly cater to people who don't train and then come.
I don't think he is.
It's okay to split up the group and have a slower group to accommodate those people from time to time. You don't want to always force the faster races.
You're not. I mean,
We got a good sized group this morning. So Paul was talking about. He mentions it later. He says, "This is the biggest group we've had." And I thought, no, we've had bigger. It's just that it splits up and people turn. Right there, I'm trying to get something to eat. My body's telling me to put something in the tank because when I get up in the morning, sometimes I have no appetite. So I'm having a gel because it gets in the system quicker. The legend I was referring to is Jay Johnson. He said he likes watching the group rides, and then he's getting his group together. And, it was kind of good to read. That's kind of cool. I just told him keep it fun. You don't need too many rules. Let people come out. It's the weekend or whatever. They're coming for fun. As long as everybody's safe, let them do what they want. Let people do what they want. Don't say anything. They'll learn. If somebody keeps going off the front and they can't handle it, when the group catches them, just keep riding. If they fall off the pace, then they'll learn not to do that. But don't restrict them so they look forward to coming and having fun. We turn here, we're gonna head out towards Fish Creek. And in a little while, I see a deer. I'm at the front.
Did you ride a lot this week?
I point to the deer, I move to the right. The deer just standing there. I don't really trust them. Somebody will bolt across the road. But this deer just ignores it, goes the opposite way.
I mean, the picture will just kind of follow.
So I'm drifting out of the pack to come back here. The reason I'm doing that is for me to sync the film. The way the camera films is you can do a 2-hour roll, but it gives you 10-minute clips. So I try to make sure that every 10 minutes I'm somewhere in the picture because I'm syncing to my head unit and I have to find where I am in the shot to identify the location to tell GPS this is where we are so it can keep everything synchronized. You can see I'm not pedaling, it says 0 RPM. If the sync wasn't working, it would be off. It would show up I'm pedaling or not. That's what's critical. That's what we're missing when the map function was disabled because Google was charging for it and Verb had not set up their account. So yeah, so if I can't see me in the frame, it's a challenge. I don't need to be all of it, but it's just that I don't know when the camera will cut the frame and make it a clip. So I try to make sure every 10 minutes I'm in a shot, at a minimum.
Yeah, Frontier.
Paul and I kind of got that down, so I tried to tell him just make sure you get a shot of me every so often, and that should be good enough.
Frank Lorenzo, who happened to be the CEO of Continental at that
They're
time.
talking about, Paul works for United, they're talking about the difference between Continental and United. United took over their culture and changed Continental. I was a big customer, I used to travel a lot. And the first thing they did was they made miles expire when they had claimed they wouldn't change what was then the one-pass system. So I'm not impressed with United. And I'm thankful I don't have to travel as much anymore to deal with that. There's a program that Continental had, which is the best, pretty much one of the best, bar none, if not the best. So he's talking with Doug. They're talking about a little bit about work. The group was very, very tame on this stretch. Usually it picks up here. This is Fish Creek on the open road. I was very surprised in a little while. He mentioned the Paul. I'm kind of surprised they're riding civilized like this. But, you know, you never know how the group's going to behave. You just have to be ready. It has a lot to do with who's there, the moods everybody's in. So this was a nice, long warm-up. You can see it's 25 minutes. Usually by now, when we get out here, people get excited. Great legs last week. This week, I felt okay. Nothing special. I had a different kind of week. My schedule changed a little bit. I rode on different days. So I wasn't sure how my body was. You have to be able to adapt. You can't just stick to one thing. You have to move and plan, and then life happens. You can't let that be a crutch. What I did on this day, my kit, see the orange band on the Rafa jersey and the orange lettering? I tried to pick that out with my socks and then my bandana. So it seemed to work really well. That's what I tried to do. Paul's wearing gray. You'll see him later in because I get the camera on Jackson Road. And he pulled off that gray. I had to tell him, I said, man, I didn't know how you did that because gray is a challenging color. It's not a bad color, it's just hard, it doesn't pop. Somehow he got it to work. He got a pair of gray socks to go with the gray lightweight jersey he had, and it worked. I gave him credit. Because I wasn't too keen on the gray. I did not get one of the gray like he had. We had talked about it. I was hoping they would lower the price. I've got some of my jerseys listed on eBay. I'm trying to roll some out. I've got too much stuff trying to lighten a little, thicken the herd, whatever. Some of them I really don't use and not use much. I made a video as soon as I got back the day after this ride. Sunday, it was very humid to the point where my shoes were literally wet, and that never happens. You get perspiration in your shoe because your feet sweat, and your socks can only hold so much. But it was as if to say I had ridden in the rain on the day after this ride. We did another ride. It was just low temperatures but very humid because of all the rain in the area. The rain in the afternoon after this ride. So Sunday morning was just a steam bath.
It's the biggest group I've seen, man.
That's why I tell Paul I think we've had bigger. It's just that, you know. That's Randy on the right there. I remember him taking a pull. You'll see in a little bit. Look at Mo's legs. See, he's ready to go. Watch when the light changes. Pushes off, clips in, one motion. Now watch Dan back here. I think I'll put an arrow on it. He's not clipped in, but he's smart enough. He just got light load on that. And watch. He feathers it and clips in. But sometimes you miss the clip in. But I wanted to show you, look at Mo, he's already up the road. Practice, you have to practice that. You have to practice how to smoothly take off. Whether you're riding alone or in a group. When you're riding alone, if you're commuting, it benefits you at intersections, so you're not holding up the other road users. But when you're in a group, it benefits you so you don't have gaps to the pack while you're trying to clip in. Paul and I used to practice this, because at first when I met Paul, he was very tentative clipping in. And we literally went in an elementary school parking lot and practiced clipping to where I was telling him you should be able to clip without looking at your cut. I did a video about it, it's on the channel. But that's a skill you need to practice. You should be able to do that second nature. overheard him talking about it with Mark.
That would be interesting.
And we're coming through the neighborhood. He's won that. It's a Chapel Hill road race. He's done all the categories, the Pro 1, 2, 3, 50 plus, whatever. He's won. He's placed second, third. You know. So it's just something. It's a local race. It's within an hour from where we live. So he does it regularly. That's what I'm telling Boss. I'm surprised they're riding this civilized. I mean, we're still talking. I'm in zone 1. We're just chatting. It's an overcast day. Very, not misty, just kind of a dull day. So I didn't even put on my glasses. It's still on my helmet. I don't usually do that because if you get little bugs, but I didn't have a problem with that. It was just, I really didn't need the glasses. It's just like one of these hazy days. And right here, the pace is starting to edge up now. While we're talking, when Paul had the camera, Mo pulled off. He had the camera on me. And then Mark pulled off. Those are the two that are at the front. And the rest of these guys get to the front, all of a sudden they get all antsy. I think it's a rider. Something there. Yeah. Randy pats him on the back. I guess Randy knows him. Most people that ride out here live on the north side. Where you head out, it's quieter. People rides of varying lengths. Pace is picking up here. You can see my heart rate has edged up. You gotta just feel it. And you see shortly we go single file. Nobody has to say anything. I'm not sure what's there. I just waved my hand because rider. So I'm just passing the signal down the bunch. I don't have to see it. So you notice I moved to the left when I did that. There's something there. I don't need to know what it is. I just know there's something there. Road's going up a little bit. Somebody steps on the pedal. Stay slightly to one side or the other to see what's going on, what's coming around. That's what you want to do. As you ride more, you need to do that because you can't depend on the person up front to always call everything. If they don't, you call it for the rest of the guys. Follow. I'm using guys generically, men and women. I didn't get the name of the gentleman on the right. He just pulled off the front. He ends up riding with Paul and I. We get separated from the group in the middle of the ride. We catch back up. I have something stuck in my front wheel, and you'll see specifically why I let the group go. I knew we'd catch back up. We knew the route that we're going on. What's happening is I think it was 2 weeks ago, Paul had a pain in his knee, he had a whole injury. So I put him on I modified his training for it. We're reducing the force work until his knee is happy again. And that happened last week. His knee was fine, no problem. So we're reducing the amount of anaerobic force he uses. spinning more at this point. So his knee is 100% because it was protesting when he changed his training plan. Protesting. So parts of this ride, when I would go really hard to try to catch up with the guys who were accelerating, Paul was getting gapped. So I just felt like I would stay with him, keep it steady, and we'd catch back up. And that's how we got separated from the group. Not a big deal. We caught back up, and it just ended up being epic roll. You can see here, I believe that might be Randy and Mike. It's not a very windy morning. Of course, you know, you're moving and the wind's always out. Done, he pulls off to the left. Randy takes over. And then Dan is behind Randy. I'm behind Dan. Paul's right behind me. And Randy gets excited. You'll see the speeds pick up. Like right here, if you watch my body action, you can tell I'm putting more force. Right there. I'm putting more force into those pedals. I did not shift down. I used the same gear. Out. It's a short little climb. Shift too much. So Randy gets excited. He does this great pull. And once he pulls off, we didn't see him again until we got to the store. That's the stuff I'm talking about. You have to know what you're doing. So he ended up riding alone after his pull. I'll show you when we get to the store when he shows up. So he missed out on a lot of good riding because of this one big pull. He should have either pulled at a lower tempo or a shorter duration and go back in the draft, save it for later. Road goes up again, he presses on the pedals again. These are about 1 to 2% climbs. You know, we're doing 35 to 38 kilometers an hour. It adds up because they're just sprinkled out here. So he's pulling off, and his move did not make it clear to Dan that he was pulling off. See, Dan is not sure what he's doing. And he pulls up, but he's still at the front, going faster than we are. When you pull off, you're supposed to back off a bit. So he just sat out there. Dan ended up asking him, are you pulling off? If somebody has to ask you that, that means you didn't do it right. You pull off, you back off slightly so you can drift back. You don't even slow that way down, just back up. But he pulled off and went up like he's accelerating. So after Dan asked him, then Dan moved up there to take the pull. This is the last I saw him until we got to the store. And we even waited. You'll see that we wait to regroup. He was not even in the second group. So Bigger takes off here. Nobody pays him any mind. I mean, I have already mentioned on some of the other rides that even if you can win every sprint, there's no point in you going for it for every sprint. There's no point to it. You know, if you know you're faster than somebody, there's no point sprinting against them. Sprint against somebody faster than you. So if I'm going to sprint, I want to sprint against Mo. Because on Sunday, I couldn't hold his wheel up a 3% climb. He was riding so fast, I couldn't believe it. I had to wave the other person up to his wheel and let him go. To back down so I didn't blow a gasket. So I had to park my ego and do that. It just pumped me up. So hopefully we'll get to ride with him. So that's the kind of effort I need to do. I just had to prepare for that high level. He's at a different level right now compared to where I am. And you have to know that so you don't blow. Because if you blow, it's harder to recover. If I had stayed on his wheel, I probably would have fallen off from the group completely on Sunday. this Sunday after this ride. I was doing 23 to 25 miles an hour up a 3% climb. That's almost a mile and a half long. I was like, damn. I looked down, I couldn't find a rhythm. One gear was too big, the other gear was too small. One gear I was spinning too much. The next gear was like, my leg was like, what are you doing? So yeah, I tapped Dan on the arm so he knows we're coming on this side. I didn't want there to be any confusion. And it seems like he already intended to pull to the right, but I just wanted him to know. That's why I tapped him on the arm. You don't need to do that. I just chose to do that and let him know we're there. And I did not accelerate. I'm just keeping the same pace he was. Victor's right up the road there. I don't need to catch him right this second. This is what I talked about. So my goal here is to ride like a domestique. All I'm going to do is bring the train to Victor at the train's pace. He did an interval. He's backing up. Now watch. He's going to do another interval, and when we get really close, he will open the gap. But I will not change our pace because I'm at 162 beats per minute. Around sweet spot, I can do this for hours. So I'm not concerned about it. I can go faster, but that's not my plan. I want to use the group to get back to him so he'll learn that. If you're going to be doing that, you better be able to hold the group pace. And he can. He can. So that's what I'm talking about. So to, what's his name, Jay Johnson, when your wife goes off the front, let her go. Keep the group pace. Peg her back in. Whoever can pull with you, you guys rotate. That's the fun thing. So she gets to have fun. You guys get to have fun. Don't restrict her. And she'll look forward to riding with you all. See, Victor's out there. He's having fun. He's doing what he wants to do. I'm keeping the group steady so everybody's on their rhythm. If anybody wanted to go faster, they would have come around me. I'm not worried about that. I'm holding a pace that I know that if I get off the front or if somebody accelerates, I know I can go faster. I'm not killing myself. If they didn't like it, they would come around me. I would slip in because I'm holding a pace. I can do that. Now in a little bit, there's a car right there. So we back off. He's closer than it appears. But then he slows down for us. And I see it. And then I thank him. And then there's a car on the left. I point to it. There's a Mini. So people don't cut the corner. Now the chase is not over yet, but we just turned, we broke up our rhythm. So what I do, I look back, make sure everybody's kind of together, and then if you watch, it's just gradual. We're going up a climb here. So I stand up just to keep the rhythm. You gotta think about your riding for other people. This is a group. That's the whole point. To come to the group, you didn't come to the group to ride alone. You came to the group to ride with others. Even if it's just one or two members of the group. That's the whole point. You're riding with somebody. Always keep your eye on someone. So I didn't just explode over that climb. And you see we're coming up the bigger. He's resting. We weren't going slow when he passed us back there. So he went really hard. He has to rest. But this pace that the group's holding, we're like a train. We don't need to rest at this pace. We can do this all day. He's the one who's got to rest because he's pushing things harder than his normal aerobic zone. There's nothing wrong with that. I just pass. I don't pay him no mind, no acknowledgement. We just pass. And then Mark sneaks up on my left. Same effort. I'm trying to keep the effort right around top of tempo, bottom of zone 4. Same effort. Going downhill, so I get into drops. I'm in a gear that will not cause me to labor when I need to accelerate. I don't really know what I'm in. All I know is it feels right. It feels light enough because I know the road's gonna go up. You can tell by my body action I'm putting more force in the pedals here. The cadence is dropping because the hill is kicking in. I think it's about 2%. 7.1 is higher than that. The sync worked really well this week. Everything with the software just worked admirably. I'm right up the Mark's wheel. I'm holding the same pace I was holding when I was at the front. This is a climb, so really getting that much benefit. Right? That's a little bit of the speed we're going. We're doing 34 kilometers an hour up to 1.5%. So you feel it. There are cyclists on the left as we approach this corner. Mark calls it out. He says right or left. The guy wasn't close. I continue riding. I don't want to break up my rhythm. I'm not riding hard. As we went around the corner, before the corner, I downshifted. I always do that. Downshift before the corner. I was in a moderate gear, maybe a 53, 23, something like that. My bike, that wheel has a 28, so it's like 2 cogs away from cross chaining, so the line's pretty good. And I just keep spinning at a moderate effort. Keep my eye on everybody, make sure everybody, because once you go around the corner, you know, people slow down. There's a guy who will blow by me here. He's not part of the group. That's the guy Mark was calling out. There he is. That's the guy Mark was calling out cyclists back. Riders like to do that. I guess it makes them feel good. But we're not paying attention to them. We have a 132 kilometer ride to do. These guys are going 20 and 30 minutes out and back. So Victor's, yeah, going near that yellow line there, I thought I had to honk at him. I don't know what he was doing. And he wasn't passing, so I don't know. I think we've got one lane that's wide enough for us. You see where I am. I don't play around that yellow line too much. If I'm near there, I'm looking behind before I get out there. So Mark comes by, he kicks up the pace. All I'm trying to do is keep it steady. I know what's coming. I know I can close the gap, but it's not just about me. I'm riding with other people, so I keep it steady. Mike grabs my arm as he goes by, he pinches me. So I pick it up just a little bit. Mike has a very high sense of humor. Mike can make a joke out of anything, just on the fly, just quick, comedic mind. And so all I'm doing, I'm going to keep the gap the same, because I figure if somebody wants to come around, fine. But it's not easy. I'm keeping it just hard enough to where we're not making like a violent attack or a violent effort. Steady. And throughout the ride, Paul and I communicate. I do hand signals. Paul and I ride often enough together to where I don't have to speak. I can just motion to him and he knows what I mean. You know, I'd already mentioned to him somewhere that it's a long day in the saddle. Don't get too excited. And today is the day where I'm trying to play the role of chasing back whenever possible. So I'm getting my workout. They're right there. They're not really that far ahead at all. But this allows me to hold 34 kilometers an hour, free and clear. My body's going to remember that capability. And keeping my eye on Paul, making sure he's there, you know. His fitness is good, but with his knee, we want to make sure in these hills, we're riding large gears. We want to make sure we're not twisting the screw too drastically, because then you have the power of gear. That's when you can strain stuff. That's what happened a few weeks back. When we ride really long, we end up putting an extra probably 35, almost 40 kilometers extra than these guys every weekend. So we get through the sign, and there's a law. Now Mike is on the right, Victor's on the left. They start racing each other, you'll see. And remember Mike in the blue jersey on the right. He ends up paying the price for this little effort here that the two of them do. So he races up the next climb. They start to hammer, and I'm thinking, okay, right here. Initially, my instinct kicked in. I started to go right here, and then I realized, no, let them go. See, Michael's having trouble. Michael is a little below form because he can do that stuff. He's a lightweight guy. This is his terrain. So I let them go right there. I just kind of back off the power a little bit. I don't stop pedaling. But I back it up because I remember, okay, I don't know what they're doing, but they're going too hard for how long we're going to be riding today. And they had already announced the route in the parking lot. We got hills galore today. So I just peg him back. I don't go. So Mike raced with Victor. Doug is up there. I don't know if Doug ends up in the second group. I think he does. But I know for a fact, I will show you in about probably 6 kilometers, we have to wait for them. And Mike's in the second group. So he paid for that effort right here. He needed a break. You know, his body needed to recover, whatever, legs, lungs, whatever. So right there, I'm pegging it back up. There's a second climb. I'm riding hard enough to where I can catch him, but not hard enough to where we got to open gaps beyond. I'm actually barely at the top of tempo. So I can go a lot harder than this, but that's not my plan today. I plan to work to close gaps. And keep my eye on my wingman, as the guys on the channel call Paul. Right turn. Paul's riding great. You'll see me congratulate him at the stop. He's riding great. I know what he's been through this year, all the illnesses he's had. It set you back, but he stayed the course. Whenever he recovers, he's very disciplined. He eases back. He doesn't try to do too much too soon. As soon as I see more, I kick up my cadence, just slightly. Then we back off a little bit. That's why you got to be in a moderate gear. Speed up, slow down. You don't need to be shifting all the time. Kick up. I had to tell Victor there was a car back. He was flirting with that middle of the road again. I don't know why he does that. I literally said Victor, car back, so he would know it was for him, because everybody else had enough room. See, he's there again, across the lane. Oh, somebody's coming, a runner. It's good to see people out in the morning, you know, using their bodies. You gotta stop sitting around. That's what's killing us. Cars are still coffins. Get out of them as soon as you can. Get moving. That's what's killing us. We're not designed to sit around. So right here, these boys, something's going on. Somebody twisted a screw up there. We're doing 40 kilometers an hour. Show why my cadence so low. I must be freewheeling or something. I'm going through the curve here. Oh, I got two riders around me. I got Dan on my right and Paul on my left. I was sandwiched, and so I didn't want to change my lines. I kind of backed up a little bit. Right now I'm just coasting. You have to take advantage of that in the pace line. You can coast and carry good speed, especially here. I think it's -0. It says 0, but it's a slight downhill. You're going to be turning, so you have -0. So it must have been Victor that I see. Oh, that was Mike. Mike and Doug. Okay. Now this is what's funny. Mike had just raced Victor. Victor, and Doug had raced that climb. Now he's sitting at the front twisting the screw. And what happens when we get to the intersection, maybe probably 5 kilometers from now, he's off the pace of the front group. So your body can feel great one moment and then you get surprised. I put a fist out the paw and I squeeze like a folded fist. Means tighten it up. I'm letting him know, don't leave gaps. So when you see the group antsy like this, stay close and be alert. So I'm just staying in the draft here, keeping everything rolling nicely. Victor and Mike are on the left. So to see Mike come in from this point in the second group when we stop, that means that because this is under 3 kilometers left to the stop, so he must have really cooked himself with those efforts, because he lost ground in the last couple of miles. I stay on the right side here because I don't know what Victor's doing. You know, he's been surging off the front or whatever. I want to stay with the train, not the people who stop and go. You keep that in mind. You got to know who to follow. That's Paul M riding up to Mike. I'm not sure what he's doing. That takes a lot of effort. We're not crawling. This is a rolling area here. It takes a lot of effort. I'm at the bottom of zone 4. Very tolerable zone, and just really looking around everybody, just kind of monitoring it. I'm in a moderate gear that I can rev up when I need to. You can see my cadence in triple digits instantly. So I don't even think about shifting. I have the gear I need. Unless the terrain changes drastically, I'll just use that. The road goes up here. You can tell by my body language I'm putting more force in the pedals. I'm soft pedaling here. So because of this constant acceleration slowing down, you must use a gear that is moderate. Otherwise, it's just inefficient. You waste a lot of your muscle power and you tap into your glycogen stores more if you use a huge gear. You can use a huge gear when you're riding solo and you're working on steady speed, but the group is never really steady. It's rare. Everybody wants to do different things. That's what makes group rides fun. You can see the gaps between the wheels are varying distances. We don't do group Nazi here. For those of you who are in the know, we don't restrict people. That's why I like riding with these guys. You do whatever you want. Nobody complains. Nobody whines. They just let you do what you want. Victor's up the road again. He's up there. If you notice, up to this point, Mo has not expended much energy. He's got his own plan. You know, that's what I mean. Everybody comes to the group ride with a different purpose. We know we can get up there. I mean, you know, quite a few of us can. I know I can close that gap, but why expend the energy when I know for sure within 2 kilometers we're going to be stopping to regroup. So Dan makes a move here. You can see, I mean, it's like he's not really going that fast, and I've already decided not to waste any energy. All I do is move up closer into the draft, fill the gap he left. The intersection is right there. You see it. It's opening up between the trees. It's right up the road. And maybe that's why Dan's making that move. But to go hard to stop right there, I don't like to do that. And Mo rides out here. I'm sure he's thinking the same. There's no point accelerating. The stop sign's right there. So if you're gonna make a move where after you make your move, you got 3 to 5 miles of work. Then you can consolidate the effort. Yeah, tell him, Paul, back off. Turn off the power. He knows what I mean. There's no point riding hard to the stop sign to stop. We're just gonna coast. Look, at 42 kilometers an hour, I'm not even pedaling. Because this terrain is flat. We've already got, it says -1. So you can roll. We're just rolling to the corner. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna turn. I think I do stop. Yeah, I do stop here because Mark announced that we're stopping. That's another reason. So all of us stop to regroup. Paul's going to turn the camera around. I want you to pay attention to who's in the second group. In that short period, there's Mike on the right, just coming up. So all the efforts that he was putting out, he paid for it. Because he needed to recuperate. That's the thing. So you can do whatever you want and you have a ball. But then if the group group speed maintains a certain tempo, and you can't rest at that tempo. That's what happens. So yeah, let everybody do what they want. They'll pay the price. I'm telling Mo that his banana is staining his jersey. Paul had told me that somebody else he'd seen or read about had stained a very nice jersey, and they couldn't get the banana stain off. So Mo said, "Oh, you remind me." So Mo takes the banana out, opens it, gets a bite, folds the thing back on, instead of eating the whole banana at once. So he takes a bite, and then he covers up the top with the banana peel and put the rest back in his jersey. So he's going to dose it out throughout the ride until it finishes. I was telling him that banana is great, but it doesn't travel very well. That's why I do banana bread. I got banana bread in my jersey pocket in the baggie. I use the snack size Ziplocs. Well, I wouldn't call them Ziploc. They're kind of like you can lock them, but it's not zipped. They're kind of pinched together. Snack size bags. They're small. I put 3 in there. That way I get something of variety to eat instead of just granola bars. So now what I found on this ride, it was so easy to follow Mo here. Easy not in terms of the effort, but as far as getting a rhythm, because he's just so smooth. You know, Paul and I talked about it, waving at other cyclists. We're just out here. We're taking over these roads, man. We're going to take it over. These motorists better get over it. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. So Mo starts to ride, you know. He's looking back for people just to make sure the group's together. That's one thing about Mo. He's always keeping an eye, even when I rode with his group that time. He's the guy that was in the faster group that we rode with that time. We warmed up with them. Everybody out here pretty much knows each other, even though they're not riding together. The community is tight. The cycling community is very tight. You know, it's a niche community. We're really unique people that ride bikes, and I think that's why the motorists are mad all the time. They can't get off work at 3 and go ride, so they're stuck in the office. They see us on the road, they get mad. That's what Mo was saying. He said when people honk at him angrily, he said he told one guy one time, I guess there was an opportunity for him to tell the guy, he said, "Are you mad because I got off work at 3 and you didn't till 5? I didn't get the rest of the story, but that was on Sunday's ride after this ride. He was saying, because we got a few people blaring horns at us, going the opposite direction. It wasn't a friendly sounding horn. We weren't doing anything. I'm not sure why. I don't understand why people that live in a supposedly free country want to infringe on the rights of others. I mean, where do you come off? And you know, then you hear about them getting shot and other things happening when they're in their cars, upsetting other car riders, and they wonder why. You know, I mean, I was taught a long time ago, don't go around bothering people. You just live longer. You can have a better life, really. You know, I think even the police, if they come around and there's an argument, they'll talk to the calm guy. They're not going to talk to the hothead. They're going to cuff him and put him in the car so he can be safe. before he upsets them and they have to beat him up. I'm just being funny there, but you know what I mean. The officers will always talk to the calmer head. The peace officers, when they come around, they'll talk to the person who looks like they're under control, who's more reasonable. Just always remember that. So anyway, we're here, back to cycling. We're here, and you can see my cadence is high, and Mo spins, you know, very, very high cadences. He's just trained. That's just the way he rides. So we're riding here, and even at the end of this stretch, when we got to the store, I think it was at the store, after the store, Paul was telling me how easy it was to get over. Victor goes, and we don't pay him any mind. There's a Strava segment here that he's interested in. I don't do Strava, guys. Well, I guess it sounds weird saying it. I'm on Strava because of the Rafa Festive 500 challenge, and I use it because I can load these group rides for you guys, and that's a way to just keep you guys abreast of what we're doing. But I'm not really interested in the KOMs and all that foolishness. I'm just not that into it. I just ride my bike. That's it. Wherever the things fall, they fall. Other people take it more seriously. I don't. You know. So Victor's going for the KOM here. We're just riding. But what we found was, Paul and I both talked about it, It was so easy on this stretch, easier than it usually is, because this road goes up. This is the downhill stretch where the segment is part of it. And you know, usually you can roll at 45, 50 kilometers an hour. But what Paul was saying was, when we started to go down, he didn't realize we had already passed the difficult part. There's a deceiving highway. It appears flat, but it's not. And he said, man, I didn't realize we had already ridden over that, because everything was so smooth. It was so easy following me. He just stayed on the right. I had a perfect draft there, because the wind's kind of coming from the right a little bit. Just easy. It's just easy. So now Mike goes again. So here's what I'm talking about. Mike just got gapped back there. Now he's expending more energy. Now you will see him pay again. I'm going to point it out. This is a teaching moment for those of you hotheads out there. And that's fine. Let people do that. Mike's having fun. That's what matters. I'm just saying, for those of you who compete, or if you're going to do grand fondles or whatever, learn to dose your effort. That's all. That's all what this is about. I'm not criticizing anybody on these rides. I'm pointing things out so that you can decide what works for you. And you know, even if you do the same thing, at least you'll know why you fell off the pace. Then you won't be racking your brain. That's just Mo messing around the road. He checked for traffic. Mo's an excellent bike handler. He likes to twirl his bike like that, I call it. He likes doing that. He takes corners. On Sunday, he was taking some corners that I was backing off on. I'm like, you know, we have some really odd off-camber roads, and Mo was taking them like they were banked correctly. Down here, I tell Paul, watch the gear you're in. And before I could finish, the light changed. So he was caught in the wrong gear. It held him up. You can see a little bit of a gap. You know, he recovered somewhat, but we talked about it at the store. So now Mo is up there. Dan carried the speed that he came down that hill. He was behind us. That's Mike, who just passed us. Now watch. Mike is behind me. I don't think he ever comes around. No, he doesn't. Because I end up, look at what I'm doing. Look at my cadence. It was probably 121 or something like that a little while ago. And I just used that to come up to this guy because I know we got more hills coming. And what I wanted to do was look at Mo messing around the road. He's checking, making sure everybody's here. Everybody made it through the light. Dan's still up the road. Mo didn't chase him. I'm sure he's got his reasons. You know, he could catch him. I've chased him. Dan always does that. You come off that thing. Now, Victor goes. And at this point, I guess the boys are like, okay, fine, enough. So you will see the group catch it. The train picks up pace. At this point, Paul's right behind me. But in a little bit, I don't know who's pulling right now. Looks like Paul M is moving to the front. I see his wheels through my legs. I can't really tell, but yeah, he was on the left. I think Paul M is up there. So Victor's right there. That's the thing about the climbs. You're not going to make up much ground because you got to keep that power going. There's no cheating. We're pulling him back like a fish on a hook. Paul M is up there. I'm sitting. Now here we begin to pull away from Paul. Mark comes around Paul. And that's Neville and that's Mo. So Mo had drifted back to the... Now look at Mo go around those guys like they're standing still. That light Mo has is the hot shot. They call it hot shot, I forgot the name. He showed it to me, I looked it up. It's a very, very bright light. My issue is that the attachment system is limited to your seat post. I don't really like putting anything on my seat post. I have very large thighs and they chew up my shorts. So I prefer to put lights either on the seat stay or the saddle, like you know, the saddle rail. So lights with a strap work better for me, not the ones with those circular seat post attachments. That's Paul H now. He's coming around Paul. These guys are not part of our group. They're just guys out here riding that are coming around Paul. Paul is dosing his up. I've already told him it's a long day. We're only 32 kilometers into a 132 kilometer ride. We've got 60 miles to go. And these guys riding like that. And you'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, I want you to pay attention to my stats because this continues to be interesting here. Even though I'm not visible, we're up the road probably about a mile. Look at the speeds. I'm coasting at this point, 44 kilometers. And I know what happens by looking at the cadence. I made a move on those guys. After we got up to Victor and them, when they decided they wanted to rest, I attacked. I attacked without getting out of the saddle. I just increased my cadence. At some point, you'll see 50 kilometers an hour register. We go down it's like a slight downhill after the stop sign. We're up the road. Paul catches closer to this guy on the descent here. But look at my speed going up now. 45, 47. I think I topped 50 kilometers an hour. And then I realized nobody wanted to play with me. So I decided to make a move. They didn't want to play. So I carried it all the way to the last corner before we turned on the road. I think it's Mount Pleasant Road. Look at my cadence. I'm going up the hill at almost 38 kilometers an hour. That's why I'm using cadence. I thought somebody was going to go with me, so I was keeping my legs spread. We're out of camera view. That's Mike right here I was talking about. Paul has now caught up to Mike. Remember, Mike was behind me when we went through the light because he had passed Mo and I and Paul. And now all the effort that he was putting out, he's paying for it now because the group did not let up. So now he's riding alone here, and Paul's riding up to him, and Paul's going to stay close to him until we get to the store. So yeah, so you have to dose your effort. Nothing's wrong with what he did. That's how you get strong. You got to find out what you can do and for how long. But when you're new to a group and you don't know the area, avoid the urge to do a lot of that. Save your efforts to stay with the group. That's all I'm pointing out. Because you have to do what Mike is doing here to test your limits. I end up doing the same thing later in the ride, and I will show you how I deal with that. You know, I'm an old dog at this now. So this is the corner, right? It's an odd corner. You see Mike go all the way across the road when he turns. You see that? It says, and you come with a lot of speed. It saps your speed. That's where I slowed down after I made my move. And I'm up the road now. If you look at my speed, it's going to start dropping because I'm turning around. I'm asking people where Paul is. And they told me, I think Doug was one of the ones that told me he's right back there. So I decided to turn around. There's a hill up there that we go up, and right before the hill, I turned around. See my cadence going down? I'm turning around. I'm coming back. I just wanted to make sure that there was no flat. Paul didn't have a flat or anything like that, just to make sure. Because he wasn't in view when I turned around. By this time, the first group is probably almost at the store. The store is right around the corner. Taco corner store. You can see my speeds are real slow. There I am on the left. Right on the left. So I spot Paul. I slow down. There's a Mini Cooper behind me, so I slow down and wave him on before I turn. You can see at 0 RPM, I'm turning now. There's Mike right here. So Mike had expended a lot of energy back there when we started to go really hard in those little rollers that, well, I wouldn't call them little rollers, in the rollers. This area here is just up and down. This is a 3%er here that they're on right now. It's hard. These things come up, they're short, but they bite. And you got to really shift before you need to. Otherwise it just kills your legs. The store's down the hill. I'm behind Paul. I'm probably about 1/8 of a mile behind them by the time I turn and everything. And one thing about me, when I'm coming to a stop, I don't like to ride hard to the store. So I try to spin down, even if it's for a minute or two, to let my body know we're stopping. I'm behind them coasting. So it says 0 RPM coming down the hill that just came down. There's the store. It's a good stop. It's got restrooms. They call it Taco Corner because they make tacos there. I can't eat stuff like that when I'm riding hard. So some riders in our group, I think Mary, one of them, she had bought some of their stuff on one ride.
I mean, there's two ways you could look
Mark says he can't lose his belly. That's Mark in front of Paul. So he's having trouble losing his belly. On Sunday, he was saying, "How do you stay below 200 pounds?" I said, "I eat all the time and I work out." That's what's working for me. This is where I put my bike up, and it's on my mind to let Paul know that I noticed that he's got a snap. You know, he's riding really well. My shorts are a little damp. It's very humid. A little less than it was on Sunday, but still, I'll let him know.
The last stretch of the.
Yeah, when we came down the hill, it was still in the gear that you were using on the hill. I wanted to make sure you were in the low, and then the light changed right away, so it slowed you down. I was letting him know why he got gapped at that light. It's all those little things that make a difference. You don't have to spend too much energy to get going. I told him he's riding really well. Then I see this guy standing by himself, so I just wanted to chat with him, make him feel welcome. I tried to pick his brain. I said, "Where did you start?" He's riding alone. So he told me that he started north of the Woodlands on 1488, the area near where that guy had the flat on the road parallel to us. So I was explaining to him, he knows Mo, so I was explaining to him that Mo was with us. At this point, Mo does not stop here. Mo goes east and then north. I thought he was going to go through the forest. We end up catching up with Mo again because he knew where this group was going. And I think he just kept riding, and then he hooked back up with the group. Because after we fall off their pace, we catch back up after Bailey Grove Road. After the stop, I get something stuck in my wheel, and like I explained earlier, with Paul's knee, a lot of times when we do really hard anaerobic efforts, he has to back off so he doesn't strain that knee. It's an old soccer injury. So every time I notice that, I end up backing off the pace just so he can fall in, because it doesn't take him long. Once he gets rolling, he's good. And that's what happens, and I will point it out. So we end up letting these guys go, and we just rode back to them. And they happened to be at the corner, so I messed with them at the corner when I got there, like, "What are you waiting on?" So I speed it up here. Mark's chatting, and I'm in there getting water. I make sure I drink before I fill up my bottles if there's water in it. If it's empty, I drink again in the store and then fill up my bottles with water to carry so that I won't need to drink for at least the first 30 minutes on the bike. That's something to keep in mind in hot weather, because I only have 2 bottles. I don't like to run out. So at the stop, I drink. Even if I'm not very thirsty, I mean, I don't fill up my belly with water to where I feel bloated or anything, but you know, you can always carry. I'd much rather carry the water in my stomach. It was a long stop. We stopped for about 20 minutes. Paul and I are talking about what happened in the rides and different things that, you know, we always discuss things to where we're both on the same page and you gotta understand the little nuances. That's what we're talking about over there. At this point, I believe we're about to leave. And that's Rudy. Rudy rode here alone to meet us here. He worked at 1 a.m. and he said he went to bed at 2 and got up, so he was running late, basically. I don't see him at that point. I'm spinning around. My tire's making noise. I'm not sure what it is. I'm like, so Paul's chatting with him. So I come over. Paul calls me over.
Did you get something to drink?
Yeah, I got some. I drunk about before I went to bed and everything.
Okay.
That was good.
So we've been here about 19 minutes. So here, Paul calls me
Hey
over.
man, Rudy just got here.
All right. Happy, lovely.
Yeah, I ain't get off work at 1 o'clock.
By the time you got to bed, probably 3.
Well, like 2 o'clock.
That's amazing. I can't do that. I can't get off at 1 and go to bed at 2. I need several hours.
No. Which Paul is he talking about?
And somebody would call him Paul. We got 3 Pauls out here. So anyway, what I was saying is Rudy said he got off work at 1 and went to bed at 2. I was like, man, that's amazing. I can't do that. I need a few hours to settle down. So, but then yeah, he was probably tired, so he probably got up late and he rode out here. But he made good time, so he's here. He's gonna finish the ride with us. So we headed west. We're going to Bailey Grove Road that supposedly has been repaved. This is a road that Paul and I frequented in the winter. And our dog is there, a racer dog, I call it. Black and white, a checkered dog.
Call up.
And he's still there, and we end up running into him today. So at this point, my front tire is just noisy. I'm just hearing, shah, shah, shah. I'm like, are you kidding me? I look between the tires, right there. It's bothering me as I climb. It ends up being the plastic bottle cap. When you buy a gallon of water, there is the lock ring. When you peel that off, somehow the lock ring got on my tire and got wedged under the brake caliper, and it's on the tire just scraping as I ride. And you know, a noise on the bike means something's up. And I'm listening to it here. I'm like, where is that coming? That's what I'm listening to. I look over Doug thing, I'm looking at him. I'm trying to, like, what is causing that noise? So I actually end up rocking my bike a little bit to shake something loose. Usually you get leaves or something. But it was just very loud.
Yeah.
So Paul's listening to it. You hear it? Tick, tick, tick. It's louder than that. The camera's just, like, the microphone isn't picking it up.
Sounds like a robbing brakes, man.
I had already snapped my brakes, looked at it, I told him my brakes are fine. So I turned and I stopped. I know something's there, something's up. So I stop here.
Yeah.
And I just look under the brake hood. It's under the brake hood, under the fork.
Yeah, something. I knew there was something in there.
The little rubber, the ring from the gallon. Mark thought it was a flat, so he stopped.
Watch out. Car back.
So I just took it off, threw it down. It's like, cool. Yeah, if something happens and you hear noise or something on your front wheel, go ahead and check it out because you don't want anything seizing your front wheel. The front wheel is more, I don't know if the word I use is delicate, but it's more apt to causing you to fall because it's designed for turning. And if something stops it and you're not prepared, you can flip over, you can go over the handlebars. So yeah, you don't want to play with that. Any kind of funny noises or something might be loose or whatever, you got to check it out. So I did that. These guys took off. I wanted to make sure everything was good. I'm listening to it. And we're climbing here. This is 149 North. We're north of the city of Montgomery. Headed up towards an area called Dacus. We've been through Dacus a lot of times. If you blink, you miss it. I didn't even know where it was. I mistook it while I was on the ride. I had to come home and look on the map so I can point it out when I do the narration because I had no idea what Dacus, where it was. I knew the general direction. So we're rolling. We got a few riders behind us, but at this point here, you will see we had stopped for 20 minutes. You know, everybody's different. Victor is doing his thing again. He's riding up to those guys. And we're talking about, you know, we're going to go check out Bailey Grove. We used to come out here. This is where we would come and drive out here. And we'll go past the park that we will park at in the winter. Those of you who followed the videos in the winter. From here, we would ride to Huntsville and other places. That's Rudy on the right. Those other two guys were the guys that rode past Paul. I think they're just riding with these guys. They don't end up going west with us. I think they're just going to go north. That's Dan in front of me. And they're all riding away. Now, all I'm doing is I'm keeping it steady. I want to make sure that we've got a nice tempo here. And I know there are a few other people, so I'm waiting to see who's left, who comes by. Thinking a little bit I jump on the right. I don't know if it's here or later. Yeah, right here. I get over his shoulders good. Now, I can close the gap, but what I always say is, we're a team. This is a Veloharmony ride. We're visiting Team RR. I always keep my eye out for my man. So when I look behind, there was a gap. You can see me let off to let him get in the draft. Because when I do an anaerobic effort right now, he'll have to do an anaerobic effort, and we don't want to strain that knee until it's completely healed. And nobody else needs to know about that on the group ride. That's our thing. I don't really like to announce to everybody. So I know what's going on. And so now we've got a good pace. We're just going to keep them. They're about 1/8 of a mile ahead. It looks a little further. But on this road, we're going to lose sight of them because of the curves. But we know where they're going. We know this area in about maybe 1/3 of a kilometer where they are right now. That's the park right there on the right. That's the driveway right here. That's where we used to come to start our rides in the winter. So we know this area. We're not worried about what's going on out here. That's why I stand. In fact, there's glass on the road that was there last winter that has been driven to the side, but it's been there since last winter. Just, glass from like a broken car window, where they're not sharp or anything, just little blocks. We remember all that stuff because we used to spend a lot of time out here. 149 is a tough road, but it's got a nice shoulder, and it's up and down. There was a guy with us. I did not get his name, but I will point him out. And he's struggling because he pushes a large gear. I think he's a little inexperienced, but he's a strong rider. Just need a little tweaking, and he'll be there. He and I chatted on Sunday because he came out the day after this ride as well, and we talked a little bit about our tariffs that the U.S. is doing against China. And I kind of like the idea. I mean, I know people are feeling the pain, but the Chinese do stuff that they cheat. So there's a lot of stuff our guy does up there I'm not happy with, but that one I'm hoping he can work that out, because there are a lot of people that it's affecting. But these guys have been cheating for a long time. They take our intellectual property, copy it, and they'll sell wheels and call it zip and paint the dimples on the wheel. It's clear it's not zip, but for them to be allowed to do that without impunity, I think that's wrong. It's bad enough you steal something, but I mean, man, to use the name, it's kind of like me stealing your TV and then announcing that it's your TV. That's the rider that was riding with us earlier. He's going back the other way. He hooked up with a group going up. So the point I'm making is they boldly do that because the government is not enforcing anything. I couldn't go and make a phone and call it the iPhone 6S in the U.S. That's illegal. They don't have to worry about that. So they take our stuff. These guys send them drawings on the contract for them to manufacture under their guidance and QC. So like Apple sent stuff to Samsung. Samsung stole the design and made their own phone from it. Apple sued them, and they were barred from selling the phone they copied for a number of years. Thankfully so. But they get away with a lot of other stuff. So I'm hoping that he can get that worked out somehow to where they're forced to come to the table and at least operate in a fair manner, because their economy is getting large and they're moving forward. They need to play by the rules everybody else is playing by. So anyway, enough about that. Back to cycling. But he's behind us, and he and I chatted on Sunday, and it was a very scintillating conversation. I'm not a supporter of that guy. He does a lot of stuff I don't care for. He just flaunts too much stuff. Just like no regard. That's my issue with him. He doesn't hide stuff. Too out there. We're turning here. There's a car coming. I spot the car. That's when I noticed that guy was there. I thought it was only Paul. So we turn here. The group's up the road. I decided to keep the pace the same effort it is when I'm in the group. Another thing, we had stopped for 20 minutes, and sometimes it takes people a while to warm up. So I could have ridden with the group, but no, I need to make sure that we stay together as a team. Paul and I have been riding together for a long time. We do this. You guys have seen our videos where we'll ride for 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, just the two of us. So this is nothing new. I stand here because even though it says 0, don't buy that. This is a grade. And I've got a rhythm, and it just feels better for me to stand. I'm not going to sit down till the left. Now it says 1. It's about 2%. It's very deceiving on Bailey Grove here. And we heard they had new pavement, so I'm looking for the new pavement. Because they had a bunch of areas that were chewed up. The road goes underwater when we have a lot of rains and it floods. And it destroys the road. See all the cracks. So they didn't pave this part of it because it's not that bad, but the worst areas have been repaved. And when I see it, you will hear I exclaim to Paul, I call it New Road. So we're riding anywhere between 18 to 20 miles an hour. And at this pace, we should be able to see the group again. All the rides that we did in the winter, that gives me the endurance that I have. So when I watch people shoot off the front for about 50 yards and then they sit up to catch their breath, I kind of smile. My recovery is very high. So as we go around here, I'm looking for the new pavement. I figure one of these curves coming up is hiding them, because they did not pave the better surfaces. There's no point doing everything. They'll need to. It's not a heavy volume road. So as we come around this curve, I spot it.
New pavement ahead.
Huh?
New road.
I told
Yeah.
Paul, new road.
How that bottle cap got between my wheels.
Huh?
That was weird.
Yeah. Goes to show
We're talking
you
about the
picked up
bottle cap.
anything on the road, man.
It was right in the parking lot. That's where I picked it.
I think I picked it up in the parking lot. That's where we buy those bottled water. So we get on this new road. It's nice and smooth. You can see water's already been coming over the pavement. That's all that debris. When it rains, this area floods. All of these turns are grades. You can see it says 2%. As you turn, look at the road. You can see the road going up. Anywhere up to, I think, 4%. You feel it. So you have to be in the right gear. Our speed has dropped because of the grade. That's why you don't want to worry about speed. It's effort that matters. You don't want to kill yourself on the climb. I push a little bit here because this is where you can make up time when you're going up a hill. On the flats, you have to like almost quadruple the effort to get a little bit of speed. On the climbs, it's closer. It's closer to what you put out as far as what you gain. That's why you don't want to attack up on the flats too much or into the wind. But for an incline, in the wind, you have more of an advantage if you have a draft. Unless it's a short section of wind and then maybe a climb or till, and you could probably go in the wind and then take advantage of, especially if you're out of sight. So it's tricky, but generally you want to draft in the wind. I'm carrying good speed through here. I'm not focused on speed, I'm just keeping the effort up. It's because you're going up and down. Now It's on my mind that our dog, I call it our dog, is a racing dog that lives out here, probably a herding dog. There's water on the road here. That's what happens. A little bit of rain, the water has nowhere to go out here. Just from past rains that we had. We had rain yesterday in the afternoon. But I know our dog lives out here, so he's on my mind. And I'm hoping he's there. So, you know, at this point, I know there's a third guy behind us. I don't have his name, but he's part of the group. He stayed with us, I think, because he liked the pace we were holding on 149. This road is beautiful, challenging and curvy. What more can you ask for? And not too many cars. And you got a sprint dog. I'm gonna call him the sprint dog.
Okay.
There he is.
Yeah.
The sprint dog is right here. I spot him.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to Paul, I said, this is where he lives. And he's here. I saw him. He's with his friend. They're hanging out right there. And he comes out. Black and white guy. Look at it. I said, I told him, what you got? Show me what you got. I kick it. He didn't have much. I smoked him.
Every time.
Paul ends up asking the guys in the bunch whether the dog chased them. It seemed like the dog did not chase them. But because I egged him on, I told him, hey, there he is. What you got? What you got? Show me what you got. And then he came. And then we saw these guys. It was like, Paul's like, there they are. So I started messing with him.
Let's go. What are you waiting on? Dacus, go.
I told him, well, don't slouch. Let's go. What are you waiting on?
Watching, guys. Let's go.
They were probably wondering what happened to us because it's like, after I pulled that thing out of my wheel, everybody came around. It didn't matter to me whether we called back up. We know this area, we're just gonna ride it. I didn't want to have Paul strain his knee on those climbs. It's a different kind of riding when you really put force down. So until his knee is 100%, we're nursing it back. It's feeling better every week. He's riding better, so yeah. He rode great today. You can see when we get on Jackson Road, he wants to ride so much. He comes. He hands me the camera. He's like, hey, you know, hey man, can you take this? Now all this time I don't know the camera's on because the plan was Paul was supposed to turn on the camera here on Johnson Road. And so I think the camera's been off. I did not know he recorded the dog. 149 Bailey Grove. I thought the camera was off. I noticed he had it in his hand, but I thought he was just holding it there because he was wearing his mesh jersey and he didn't want to stick it back in the neck area. And so in a little bit you will see me ask him to turn it on. He's like, it's been on the whole time. I was like, oh, you're ahead of the game, you know, because these boys get excited out here on Johnson Road. It gets really interesting. So Paul H is at the front, our 73-year-old rider who is still crushing it. He's up there in a white jersey. He had mentioned to me, nobody wants to get to the front. And I'm like, you know, I'm thinking, I just got here. I've been pulling for a while. I've been pulling my group, so I'm going to take a bit of a break. The road's going up. Yeah, it says 1%. You feel it. That's what you need. You feel it, and then you find the gear that you need for it. Don't worry too much about it. If you run out of gears, then you're in the smallest possible ratio. Just do the best you can. You can see my hands are on the top of the bars. I keep my chest open so I can breathe. You can see Mark, he's climbing the same way on the right in the green jersey. I like to climb on the tops when I'm going hard in the hills or on the mountain paths. You can see Paul H is up there. We're going too slow for him. I believe Victor is behind Paul, yeah. So He and I talked about it on Sunday. I was teasing him about, posting him on Instagram, and all he said to me was, "No excuses. Get out there, harden up." He used a more colorful language. He said, "No excuses." He's old school, so he doesn't care. When you live that long, you can say whatever you want. Victor's chasing up there. I'm just kind of sitting with the boys at this point. Michael always climbs in the drops like Pantani. I think he just likes climbing like that. Victor's up the road. He's not going to go very far because we're going to, in a little bit, the road's going up and down, up and down. And I think we get in excess of 50 kilometers an hour on another stretch here. This is the road, Johnson Road leads to the town called Dacus. I was not aware of that Dacus is off of this road. I thought Dacus was off of 1486 at 105. But that actually is a town called Dobbins. So they got the coolest names out here, Dacus and Dobbins and all that, like ghosts and goblins. So, I love looking up the names of the little towns. I think it's really cool. There's more character. They got a Paris, Texas, and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I like. It's kind of cool. So we're descending here. This guy is moving at a good clip, but he's got the whole lane. He startled me a little bit, just the speed he was carrying on this road. This road is not a high-speed road, and this is the Labor Day holiday. The Department of Public Safety is out in force because these people get off on the holiday and they kill themselves. It's like, they give them time off from work and they go die. So we have a high percentage of Texans in car accidents during the holidays, period. Every holiday. They're forecasted and we're talking 40 people on the weekend or something. I mean, I don't understand it. So they're out in force, especially for DWI checkpoints and stuff like that. Believe it or not, we still have to deal with that foolishness. They don't drink at home. That's why we have glass bottles broken on the road and we have flats. So we know ain't nobody walking throwing bottles. They ain't cars. So they know. They're out there in force. They don't play in holidays. They'll lock you up. You spend the weekend there. You're not going to see a judge. So your holiday is over. So might as well take a cab. It just makes sense. So they don't play. They announce what they're going to be doing. They let them know ahead of time. So they don't listen to any excuses. They catch you, that's it. In fact, they draw blood now. Make sure your alcohol level is where it should be. So most moving up the peloton, most moving up in front of Paul. Paul left a gap here. More closed it. Then Paul moved up. Because we're moving. Look at the speeds. This is just a slight downhill. It says -1, okay, -2. It's leveling off again. 51 kilometers an hour. We're moving like a car. That guy in the truck moving in the grass to stay out of our way. He doesn't want anything to do with us. I don't blame him. Somewhere around here, Victor comes and goes around the loop again, I think. He's now, yeah, there you go. He doesn't go very far. We were heading towards Dacus, and then we hit 1486. And then on 1486, he sneaks away until we get to Dobbins. By the time I'm aware that he's off the front, I go to help the guy that's at the front. He's got a decent gap, and all I do is just keep our pace steady. And we're riding at these speeds with Paul H at the front, our 73-year-old crusher. That's what I'm going to call it. He crushes it. He doesn't play. He crushed the time trial. They did they called it time trial from hell in Huntsville. Even the name is scary. Why would you name a time trial the time trial from hell? They make me want to go participate. And he went out there and just crushed it. So 4% grade. You're doing a time trial where you got 50 miles, 4% grade. A 50-mile time trial. Like, that's crazy. So Paul pulls up. I think I patted him on the shoulder when he came by, you know. Just all that pulling he's doing. Paul comes to get a workout. He doesn't mess around. He just comes to ride. Both Pauls, Paul H, Paul I, because Paul I rode until his knee was swollen. I'm like, at what point do you need to back off? You know, it's like, man, his knee was swollen. I'm like, man. Like, you all know Paul. He's really sick. Do 100 miles sick. I'm like, you know, what are you trying to prove? Paul doesn't mess around. Paul Ilunga does not mess around, man. He rode his knee was swollen. I'm like, no. So we stop here to make sure everybody's together, and then we resume. And that's all we do, you know. So if everybody's close, you just slow down a little bit to get back in, and you start to roll. Now the guy at the front, right in front of me here, I didn't get his name. He was sitting, he's in waving. His hand's numb. So you could use a little bit of a tweak on that thing. Left hand's numb. But he was behind Paul and I when we rode back there racing that dog and everything. I got to get his name. He was the one I was chatting with about the tariffs. You know, the situation with Asia affected the business of IT that I'm in. You know, we got all these H-1B guys that have come in here and they just dilute the rates and everything. And then, I mean, in certain cases, we end up going and cleaning up the work they do because they don't really do a top-notch job all the time, you know. So the people who cut corners and try thinking they're saving money, we go back and tell them, well, I'm not going to fix their work. I'm going to redo everything. So it was a boom in my area. So, but it's just in other areas where they cheat, dump products on the market and restrict our products from competing. So they got to get it sorted out. He may not be using the best approach, but whatever gets them to the table, he needs to let them know we mean business. I don't understand the rest of the guys who made those deals where like, oh, who are you looking out for? So anyway, I don't have all the details. I'm not an expert in that area, but whatever gets them working it out, that's all. We all need to get along. It's one world. No more wars. Enough of that crap. We need to ride bikes and stuff. Get along. Anyway, so this guy is sitting up there. I don't know who's there right now. I think it might be Mike. I'm always trying to make sure that the riders who are not super strong don't, in spite of what they try to do, don't wear themselves out. So if I see somebody at the front too long and they appear to be slowing down, I usually just ride up there and slip them a wheel. Whether they understand what I'm doing or not is not germane. It's just that I'd much rather do that so then we don't have to wait. I grabbed my banana bread here. Mo's getting some food. I'm getting some food. I decided to eat because I plan on riding hard on this road. I ended up pulling, I think, for about 10 minutes, I think. It was a pretty long pull. Paul was telling me, man, it's like, I kept telling myself, you're up there so long. I told him I just wanted to do the work. It's like, and the guy was getting tired when we got up there. Once I found out Victor was off the front, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hold the gap. Just get up there and hold the gap. Not try to catch him or anything. So right here, Mike is done pulling. Mike does a lot of work in the bunch. Paul is just catching his breath back there. And that's another reason to not change the effort too much, because Paul pulled for a long time, Paul H. And so by keeping it steady, he gets a chance to recuperate. That will encourage him to come back and take another pull. But if you just start accelerating like a mad dog, then why would he come and pull again? You know, so, and that's fine. You know, I'm just saying generally, if you're working with the group, but don't stop other people from doing that. I'm calling Paul Ilonga up so he can get on Mo's wheel. Now I'm going to the front. That guy's slowing down, and he was with us. I know he's tired. He shouldn't be up here. So I just slipped right in front of him. Right, I just kind of gave him the wheel. He didn't sit behind me very long, because you see, it's like let's see, 9:24 a.m. is when I get up there. I think I end up speeding it up because I was up there for so long. I speed it up. I didn't want you guys sitting through 10 minutes of pull time, so I just did like a time lapse here. So yes, about 10 minutes. Now that's a long time to pull, but I do workouts where I'm at threshold for 20 minutes, you know. So for me, I can handle that. So then Rudy slips to the front in front of me. And in fact, when he gets in front of me, the speed drops. But what I decide to do, if you look, my effort has dropped as well. I was like 168, 167 most of the time when I was up there. The speed is less, so I'm coasting. And I said, okay, I will see what he's doing. Because if you're going to come to the front, you need to at least hold the same effort or faster, I guess. Instead of going slower, then you should have just let me stay there. But then when this last hill comes, this is the hill before we get to Dobbins, and he acts like it's a sprint. You see Mo standing up. It may look casual because he's looking at Mo, I mean how smooth he is. It's not casual, it's hard. Look at my RPMs. I decided to just sit and spin. And that was almost a 3% climb. It wasn't very long, but it was steep. And it got there quickly. So I was like, what was that all about? So that's all he did. He gets to the front, he hammers the last hill. You know. so when you're pulling in the group, always be aware that people are can do stuff like that. So don't stay up there longer than you're able to handle. Since I do 20 minutes at threshold regularly, I wasn't worried about a 10-minute pull at sweet spot, which is below my threshold. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we get over here. Victor's standing on the side of the road. He was up the road. So I asked if this was Dacus. I had it mixed up. We already passed Dacus back there when we waited to regroup after Johnson Road. But this is Dobbins.
Dacus? This is it?
So Paul's not sure. So when I got home, I looked at the map. This is Dobbins. This is 1486 and 105. We've driven there before in Paul's truck when we're getting ready for the RDBC. We've come to this intersection before. So we're going to go south on 105, and as soon as I begin to go, more fakes and attack. He's a big kid. He's a big kid on that bike. So he takes off. I'm like, forget you. I'm not interested in that. I'm letting my engine get back up to operating temperature here. You know, because I've been sitting up there for a while. I'm like, I'm not going to expend any unnecessary energy. So we got like maybe a third of the group up there right now. Everybody else behind just kind of trying to catch their breath. So I decided to just keep the pace. This is another climb. This is the thing. Up here, it's just up and down. 2-3%. You've been riding. So now we're 61 kilometers into the ride. Into a 132 kilometer ride for Paul and I anyway. For them, they're probably doing about 90K, I guess. Maybe no, they're doing about 100K, 60 miles. So that's Rudy coming around, spending all that energy to go sit behind those guys. And that's one thing you got to decide how you want to ride. all those bursts. You got to know what you've got. So I know I can close the gap, but I'm not thinking about me. I want to make sure Paul doses out his energy so he doesn't strain that knee. We got a lot of climbs coming. Mo, you see Mo move to the left. He's always looking behind. Make sure everybody's accounted for. We're good. They're not that far ahead, and what I'm doing is I'm edging the speed. You will see a lot of people come around, and each time they would do, I would just edge the speed a little bit. Those gradual accelerations allow the riders behind Paul and I that are not very strong. It gives them an opportunity to catch their breath and kind of roll with a more gradual increase in the pace. So when you're hanging on railroad tracks, I always stand for that. Just a little acceleration now. I think a couple of riders come around me here. Yeah, that's a Neville. Neville's a British guy. That's Mike. So I pick it up just a little bit. I started going, my instinct kick in. Then I realized, oh, let me check on my buddy because he's not going to be going that hard here. And I look and I see there's a gap. So I back off just a bit. So the two Pauls are back there. Paul is just behind Paul Elonga. I back off as soon as he gets on, and I resume what I was doing before. Because I was going to go with Mike. But there's no rush. They're not that far down the road. In a little bit, Paul H will come around us. He's not aware of what I'm doing right here. I edge it up just a little every time. The other people see people coming around, they're expecting a bit of a change in pace. But I just do just a slight acceleration. So all these little accelerations keep that rubber band from breaking. And you can see we're just rolling, we're catching back up, the speed's picking up. The terrain is more gradual now. So it's not going to strain his knee that much. So we're going to just kind of roll with it. It's those steep pitches where you're applying a lot of pressure in a short period of time. There's more. He's looking behind. He sees that we're doing fine. So keeping an eye out for us. And we're back. And we just kind of roll down. It's a little flatter here. It says -0. And we roll back. But all those little accelerations allowed everybody to catch their breath. We've been riding for quite some time. We got a long way to go. We got about 70 kilometers left. And what I do when I'm at the back is, as they slow down, I roll into where I can catch the wind and I keep pedaling. Notice that I kind of soft pedal when I have to, but I try to avoid stopping where I'm pedaling where possible, just to keep my legs turning around. It allows the people in the back to at least have some kind of a consistent rhythm. The yo-yo stuff is just hard. Just going super hard, and that's the reason why road racers ride like that. They're trying to break the elastic. Once they break the elastic, it settles down. When I used to race, I found the breakaway was easier than chasing from behind. And once I figured that out, I did everything I could wherever possible to get in the brake. Because once the brake got away, it was fast, but it was steadier. A nice train going here. This part of the road again is up and down. It's 1486. We're headed west, I believe. It says south. Okay, there's more south than west. I thought we'd be heading west by now because that 149 was the initial stretch. It's still the same highway, 1486, yeah. 1486 at 105 was Dobbins. We're headed south. There should be a turn coming up. Neville moves around Mike. I think he's not aware that Mike is backing off of the turn. But yeah, Mike should have just stayed closer because you still got to close that gap. You want to ride with the boys. I check for traffic. And in a little while, Paul hands me the camera. Paul's ready to ride. The Jackson Road, we don't play on this road. It's a Strava segment. It's a quiet road. It's at least 10 minutes of just uninterrupted riding. It's not the smoothest road we ever ride on, but I like it because traffic volume is less. We got a couple of cars on this road going the opposite direction, blowing their horn. I don't know if Victor was doing something back there like he did earlier on Raymond Chapel Road, maybe near the yellow line, and they were probably trying to warn him. I don't know why these people do that sometimes. You're not really sure. It sounded like angry horns. So yeah, Paul asked me to take the camera here. I pick it up, spin it around, and I'm ready to ride. You know, it's like, so right here, I don't know who's at the front. Let's see, I think it's Doug. Let's see Doug's shot. Somebody else there. Is it Mo? Yeah, I think it's Mo. So Mo picks up the pace. And right here, Victor's trying to come over. I'm already dead. I kick it. I accelerate. The speed, I'm gonna hit probably 40 kilometers. But as soon as I get there, they're yo-yoing again. I'm probably sitting in a 53.16. I don't do a lot of shifting on this stretch. I figure we're gonna go fast. Nothing here tops 4%. So I just put it in the 16 and forget it. We're gonna just ride. You see, I'm coasting right there. Paul's up there. And that's the gray Paul put together. Paul's got a gray jersey and gray socks. I told him, I said, man, you pulled it off. I hope I can get a closer shot. I think I do later. Yeah. It's a mesh from La Pasión. Very comfortable for this weather. It's perfect for the weather. You got to wear the right stuff. It makes a difference. I run too hot to wear a hot jersey in the summer. I love from now the fall to spring, about May. 9 months out of the year, I love those months in Southeast Texas. Summer, they compete. Well, I shouldn't say that. The teachers would revolt. They need that break from the kids. But yeah, summer's just too hot here. Well, we compensate by going out earlier. It's, so it works out. So we're home before it hits 95. You can see we're moving. Mo's sitting up there spinning. That's what he does. See, I kept my cadence high too. 44 kilometers an hour. Yeah, I'm in the 16, so about 100, 105, something like that. I'm just coasting here. So you do the work to stay with the group and you benefit and carry speeds without working 100%. There's more pulling off the front. You check for traffic. Look at it. He always does that. It does like a little, like going through an S turn. He did it again. He plays with that bike. You got to get to know your bike. That's what it takes. You got to be a kid on your bike. Then when people fall in front of you or something happens, you already been there, done that. You just go around them or jump over them, whatever you got to do. So there's a lot of little ruts right where the right tire of cars ride. So I'm sitting to the left most of the time, the left of it. I know they're there. So yeah, I don't have a perfect draft, but I want to make sure I save my wheels. It just wasn't, it's uncomfortable riding through those bumps anyway. And when they have shadows like that, you don't know how deep they are. You hit them right, they can cause a flat. So it's better to avoid them. So on a road like this, you can ride the white line or to the left. And I think right now I'm on the white line. I got the camera in my left hand, so it's not directly behind Rudy. So we can see this pace line. And basically with the camera, you just set it, you hold it next to the hood, so it's like holding two pencils together, and that's it. You don't need to think about it. That's why I got the gimbal. You just put it in position and ride. You forget about it, you just ride. Except if you want to take a shot at the back. It does its own thing. All I do is I try to remember not to let it get blocked for too long. But that's one of the guys blowing. I don't know what he's blowing at. That was the first one. We get another one that blows like that again. So I don't know if someone was passing. Maybe that guy in the van was going to pass. I don't know. But there were two cars and only one blew. You think the first one would have blown. Some of these people are very ignorant, and they're fortunate enough to live in the U.S., and they really have no clue how fortunate they are, and they show their ignorance on the public roads. They have the nerve to blow at you, and you're out riding your bike, enjoying what you want to do. Like, what is it? What are you trying to tell me? I'm supposed to check with you before I decide what activity I want to do? Maybe you need to stop by for coffee, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, who raised you? Didn't they teach you anything, any common sense? That's how they get in trouble. And then, and the stories in the news don't give you the full details as to why this fool ended up the way he did, messing with somebody who was crazier than he is. I probably have said it before. My mother told me a long time ago, it stays with you. She said, there's always someone crazier than you. Make sure you never meet that person. So, that's what they run into. You living in a state of Texas where every Tom, Dick, and Harry packing a 6-shooter and you want to be blowing your horns. Then you're surprised when you get shot at. I mean, really? Yeah, these people are crazy. I don't blow my horn at anybody when I drive my car. Everybody's armed in the state. And we all know how the average person thinks. So who wants to bother? There's no point to it. The police officers have enough headaches dealing with those guys. So, I don't bother people to ride my bike. If they don't hit me, I'm fine. I don't worry about it. Because they do crazy stuff. I've had people throw stuff out of the car at me in the time I've been riding my bike. I was able to get the license number, alert the proper authorities. And of course, the story was different when they were contacted. But the officers know better. Needless to say, I showed up for the witness to the prosecution, and yada yada yada, somebody did some community service. But he's gonna be thinking twice before he throws stuff out of the car or anybody else. I made time for that. That's what people don't understand. These people can find you. I find it amazing with all the people, but they can find you. They just need a little bit of information. We're all in some database somewhere. Anyway, enough about that. Life goes on. We're too busy to worry about stuff like that. Too busy living. Look at this. Look at this pace line, huh? Just tight. Moving along. 35 kilometers an hour into the wind. It's been a long ride. I mean, 71 kilometers. And we got like probably, 50 left or something? 50, probably 50 or 60. Quite a bit. We do a lot of riding. I mean, if they hooked us up to a generator, we could probably power a small room. Yeah. All these watts we talk about, we need to hook up a light bulb to these bikes. Something. Back in the day, they had those generators you would put on your rear tire, like a dynamo for the bike. I didn't like them that much because they wore your tire. That's the second one honking. Don't really know why. I don't know what's going on behind me, so maybe he's got a valid reason, but we got quite a few of that on this ride. That was the 2, and then on Sunday we got one genius doing the same thing. We kind of laughed. That's what Mo made the comment about. And telling some guy, are you jealous because I get off work earlier than you and I can ride my bike? That was funny. It was a good laugh. We all laughed about it. It was like they're envious you're out having fun. Like, you don't see me come to the and then the golf course or whatever it is you're into and blow my horn at you. I believe there's Mark sitting up there right now. I'm pretty much just right on the cusp of tempo at this pace in the group. I don't really like to be in tempo, but at this point we've got quite a few more kilometers to go. I didn't spend any more energy than I have. Mark pulls off. Paul's dodging those holes. That saves your wheels though. Gives you a more comfortable ride. Whenever possible, avoid those holes if you can. If you can't, practice jumping them if you need to. You have to hold that line. I jump those blobs of concrete that people drop on the roads. The guys that work on the road crews will drop concrete and just harden. It's like a stone that's just cemented there. You don't want to go over those. Ruin your wheels. You can see Paul's wheels, nothing special. Regular box-looking rims. I think company knows Zondas or something. I don't know what he's got on that bike. Probably Zondas. You don't need all the fancy stuff. What you need to do is just ride your bike. Just ride your bike. What you really should spend your money on is your kit. That's what slices the wind. Look at Paul's jersey. No flapping. That's what you need. You need your kit to fit you like that. And make sure your bike fits you. That's what you need. Other than that, all the other stuff is just extra. You get your kit together, get your bike going. The wheels can come later if you choose. Because once you're fit and you put good wheels on there, you will fly. I know I talk a lot about the carbon wheels. Somebody sent me a pair. I wouldn't say no. I'd stick it on the bike, go ride with the boys and play with them. Right here, I tell Paul the power's on. I tell them to back off the power. These guys are riding to that stop sign where they'll back off. I hope you all got a chance to get out this weekend. But this is what we did on Saturday to get ready for barbecue. So get out there, keep those doctors fired. Keep moving.